Hey everyone, we're back for our round 22 team list analysis. It's going to be a live reaction, guys, so if I do miss something, please just either let me know in the comments or just understand that I am doing this live and we may miss something on the extended bench or a guy missing or something like that. So let's get into it. We've got some interesting faces there. We'll kick off. Legler and also Latrell Mitchell are on the screen here. So let's get into that first game. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of changes for the Dogs apparently, so we'll get into that very, very shortly. Dean Mariner is on the wing for Broncos in one of those, there's this a little bit different with Corey Oates still out. Brendan Piakura is back, which is good news for those that own him and may need to play him with plenty of, Warriors players potentially out in your side. If you're looking at the Broncos guys there, it's obviously Payne Haas is a clear guy you want to be looking at as a keeper in this side. Katoni Staggs, if you do want someone cheap that has that boom potential, then sure. Maybe he's like a looper that you could use for sure that covers that center position, but not super excited on that front there. Brandon Smith is named to start. Jake Turpin on the bench there, which is how it played out last week as well. In the halves, Luke Keary and Sanders Smith. It sounds like Sam Walker is a couple of weeks away. I'm not sure if he would come straight back in to this team or he would be in a New South Wales Cup setup there. But that's where it's at the moment. Egan Butcher, starter, along with Nat in this one. No Angus Crichton. And reserves there, you see nothing outside the ordinary on any of those fronts, which is, it's ideal. Marty Tapau is actually out. Jesse Arthurs is out as well, which again, nothing real big there with Thomas Flegler coming back in and with Palacia going to the bench. So yeah, Flegler not super important there, and obviously Victor Radley coming back is not super important either for our fantasy squads. Let's go to the Tigers up against the Bunnies, and as we said, Latrell is back on that one there, and Blake Taff is out of this game. Tony Milne keeps his spot. There's no Munro, which is frustrating for owners of him that may have wanted to obviously loop him or something like that, especially against the Tigers. And Latrell's a very, very interesting prospect for any of our sides looking into this week. Jai Arrow is in the front row. Damien Cook said Jacob Host returns into that edge spot and Cam Murray's in the 13. So let's look at their interchange, and it's Moale, Havili, Jed Cartwright, and also Tom Burgess. So Jed obviously going to cover some of the minutes for Jacob Host, you'd imagine. Havili, maybe a few on, covering Cook, and then some through the middle, Davy Moale and Tom Burgess as the front row cover guys, and means Murray should be able to play some pretty decent minutes. Hame Sele is back in this one. Sean Bloor returns on the bench, so he had a small quad strain, it sounds like, for him, and he was very, very late out because he was named to start, and then unfortunately, late in the piece, just before the game, in the warm-up, he went down, so that was frustrating. Publicly, Ian Bateman unnamed, which is good news. Atasi James, a little cash out there, is playing multiple games in a row now, which is very cool for him. Buller is there. Dane Laurie keeps his spot. Charlie Staines back on the wing, which is interesting. A Junior Tupou coming into the centres. I don't know how much that helps his potential scoring. I don't think there's many that hold him. Brandon Wakeham is the out this week, I should note, actually. There you go. Oh, with Brooks returning. So I think that's the correct choice. He, just definitely looked a little bit out of place last week, unfortunately. So that's a big one for them. Alex Seyfarth, I think, is a big out as well. But there you go. That's that one. Pretty much nothing else on that squad. Storm v Eels. So, big ones here. We're looking at young Tonomapia back in the side. Very interesting. And Marion Seve with Remus Smith out. He did have a little bit of an issue on the weekend, so he's succumbed to that. Unfortunately, Munster's there, which is good. Harry Grant is there. It's always nice just to check those guys, even if you don't suspect anything wrong, just making sure that they are in the squad. Big Nelson's out. Okay, what's going on here? We got Eisen, who's playing in the starting edge role, and we have Nelson out. So what does it say about Nelson? All right, suspension of Tarek Sims, offset by the turn of Eli Katoa. Looks like he'll be on the bench then. Yep, on the bench for Eli Katoa. All right, interesting. And Nelson's out. No reason. Interesting. He didn't play a big chunk of minutes last week, hey, but if you do own him, I think he's an easy one to sell anyway, given he's that mid-range type of guy. If you're looking at the forwards for the Eels, Ogden is still there, obviously, with RCG out. Madison keeps the bench spot. Davey and Cartwright Jr.'s there. Brendan Hands, cool. Penasini, Gutho, Simonson, Moses, nothing really changes. Up to you what you want to do with these Eels guys. Obviously, Moses. People looking at potentially moving Hopgood, which I think he's just such a really strong player at the moment. I wouldn't be looking to move him on. Obviously, Sean Lane is out, so Davey comes back into that spot and potentially could play the full 80 minutes along with Cartwright, but also Madison could come on and play a couple of edge minutes as well. They got Joey Lussick on the interchange, which I'm not sure if that's going to hurt Brendan Hands or if he's going to play a middle role or what's going to happen on that front. But yeah, just be aware of that Joey Lussick could come in and take some Brendan Hands mins, but we'll see how that goes. He's been thrust into an 80-minute role fairly quickly and has been doing a great job for sure. All right, Raiders, Matt Timokor, obviously a solid option in the centres if you're looking at that. Seb Chris keeps his fullback slot there, spot. Tarpany's good to go, it looks like, which is nice for owners. Horsburgh in there as a cracking owner, cracking buy for anyone who doesn't own him. For the Knights there, the outside backs look look very much the same. And options, guys, I didn't mention in the previous video, Tyson Frizzell scoring really, really well. And has gained a bit of cash, but still is a really solid option if you don't want to go to a Dev for feeder or something like that. But he's very much getting closer in price now. And I know I personally would pick for feeder if they're at the same or similar price. No one else to look to select there. Daniel Saifidi is out and replaced by what? Leo Thompson? Oh, Jacob. Jacob comes into the starting side. Yeah, no one really else of note in that section there. No issues there. Cool. Dragons up against the Eagles. So Sloan keeps the 1 spot. Zach Lomax keeps the center spot. So there's been a little bit of chatter around him potentially playing fullback, but that's not happening. Amone along with Ben Hunt. Jack Bird keeps the bench spot and Dan Russell in the starting. So this could change, obviously. It doesn't look like anything's changed for the Dragons, except for, Mbai being out. In terms of the Manly boys, Paseka is out. Looks like it'll be a 3 to 5 week injury. Joss Aloye also is out in this one. So starting side, Matt Lodge comes in to start. Sipley is there as a starter as well. And then Ruben Garrick, a great pickup. DC a cracker as well. Kohler scored well last week as a bit of a, almost cash out in that center and wing fullback position. And Olakwatu, he's okay. I don't know if you want to continue holding him. He scored pretty well last week, though, so probably gives him another chance, especially against the Dragon side, where he should be able to get a try. You'd imagine against Billy Burns. Okay, Panthers, nothing changes for them, I believe. Tyrone Peachy keeps the spot, so Isaac Tungo is out. Isn't even named in the reserves. So that's frustrating for owners. That is huge news, unfortunately, for owners of Tungo. I have him in Supercoach, so I'm definitely feeling a little bit of your pain as well. As a pickup, if you grabbed him last week and couldn't trade him out, it's so sad. Cleary, the best captaincy option, I believe, in this week. Tracy keeps his spot. Unfortunately, Cole Hume, guys, he takes that 1 game play, so he'll be out for this week. Finucane is out as well. What's Finucane's thought there? Graham's back from the toe injuries. He'll start. No doubt Finucane doesn't save it. McInnes gets another week there. To play some good minutes in the 13 role, and you do see Talakai in the 15 role. So he probably split some minutes with Graham, I'd imagine. Hopefully Jesse, if you grabbed him last week like myself, gets the spot again. That would be very, very nice. Nothing too much changes other than that, because Trindle keeps his spot and Moylan is in jersey 18, which I doubt that he takes that spot back at this stage. Tommy Hazelton's been a cracker going forward here. We got Cogger still in 18. Cool. Yep, nothing much changes there. Doggies, all right, let's have a look. Averillo, Blake Wilson, Carraz in the centre still with Burns returning for Alamotti. Interesting. Adokar returns as well, so Skelton is gone, which I suppose we expected. Toby Sexton returns. Maxi King, thankfully, he keeps his spot. Reedy's in the start. Tavita in the starting middle. Kick-out, Preston returns. Good stuff. Nice to see Preston. So be a pretty solid side, I think, with Flanagan, Moran, Corey Waddell, Sam Hughes on the interchange. You'd still expect 50 or so minutes from Maxi King. Does Kick-out go straight into a big minute role for him? I'm not exactly sure. You see Ockenbaugh kicked out, Skelton out, Liam Knight in the reserve, so he could come into the interchange. And does that hurt Maxi King at all? I'm not sure. I still think that he's their best forward. At this point, he was very, very good defensively last week. Ran the footy well. Perham is gone, Torpen is gone, along with Alamotti. So there's plenty going on their side of the ball. Ray Stone is out from their last team list in round 20 when they played. Obviously having the bye last week. Harrison Graham just completely out. So that is big, big news with Jeremy Marshall King in the 9. Graham not even in the interchange. And it sounds like Jeremy Marshall King will return, definitely. He's in full training and should be there. So Harrison Graham being out. Another looper, obviously, but frustrating if you're looking to play him. If he gets that start, he's scoring really, really well. And this one, Valance is an interesting one against this team and the Dogs. There's a good chance that he could score well. You'd imagine he goes back to Asako's side, and I think that can be a really strong side with Cody Nikarima. I'd prefer, to be honest with you, if Cody Nikarima is on that right side. I think that would help. If Cody Nikarima is on the left, I think he's a better... he seems to give Lemuelu better ball. So, we'll see which side he ends up and Sean O'Sullivan seems to be left-sided more. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments there. Connolly, obviously a solid pickup as well. In that position, going to play back row up against. So Preston will be on that right side now. So that'll be an interesting matchup. You'd imagine Preston can get one over Lemuelu, but we'll have to we'll see how that plays out. Milford gets the interchange spot as well. So very, very interesting on that. Let's move to our last game of the round, Titans and the Cows. Titans side of the ball, we see Fafita. Good. Stimson returns, which is interesting. Cleese Haas goes back to the interchange bench. Sam Verrills starting. Aaron Clark continues to start. And Chris Randall's on the bench, but that could change again like last time. Jojo Fafita in the centres. Tanner Boyd still keeps his spot. Okay, so not much changes for the Titans, guys. For the outs for the Cows, we have Griffin Neem out with his head knock, I believe, and Jeremiah Nanai with his AC joint injury. Sounds like it'll be a bit of an issue there. Finna Furiaki, he ends up getting that start, which will be fun. If you're looking at their bench there, it's Granville, Tanua Brown, Taumalolo, and also Sam McIntyre. Basically all middles. McIntyre can play a little bit of edge, but I imagine we're going to see some decent minutes from Finnair. So he's a cash down that is probably fairly interesting, to be honest. I wasn't sure if they're going to go Hess or Finnair, but he finally gets his opportunity, which I think he deserves. At the moment, Mitch Dunn's in the reserves, but I really don't think anyone will take that spot off him, which is great news. He's definitely a solid one as a cash down that will play most of the games, whether it's off the bench or in the start now, until Hillam Luki comes back, which is fun. Valamar keeps his spot. Tungling is in there. Awesome. That's all, guys. That's the live reaction. Let me know your thoughts around that, and if it hurt or was good for any of your potential trade-ins or guys you are holding in your squad. Obviously, the Harrison Graham one's a little bit frustrating. Cole Hume as well. Not great, but hopefully it sets you up in the best way possible to go well in this week. I now have cover in centre and wing fullback with Val. Do I still want the great man Ruben Garrick? I think I do. So we'll have to work out how this one plays out. But wish you all the best of luck, and obviously we'll get out a few videos. I believe Scoop may be able to get in and help us with a video tomorrow, but unsure at this point. Just given it, I think it's just quickly in between his work schedule, and if we can get that, awesome. If not, it will be just me, in this week for that video. So thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next one.